today we have an absolutely huge manga haul that's been building up for some time. There's some fantastic titles that I can't wait to show you, so stick around and see what I've picked up.
That man and his manga.
What's going on, everybody? This is That Man, that is my merchandise, and today once again we are going to be looking at a manga haul. That's right, I've been letting it build up because quite frankly I've been trying to avoid buying too much manga. He lied naturally as he breathed. So today I'm going to be looking at my pickups for the last few months. But before we get into all of that, if you're new to the channel and love all things manga and collecting, from figures to anime and light novels, do me a favour and subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss out on new weekly videos. First up is the almighty One Piece, that's right, Goat Piece as some people call it, and I don't really understand what that means. This is One Piece volume 94, and I've just been picking up the Japanese volumes as and when I can, and I managed to find this one for rather cheap, so I thought, you know what, I'll just pick it up and add it to my collection. This is the Wano arc, and this is, I believe this is when Luffy is in jail or in prison and meets Eustace Kid, and they have that whole jailbreak stuff. Personally, I felt it dragged on in the week by week, but reading it back, it's rather quick, so always good to have Goat Piece on the list. The next title I'm going to talk about is Umaruchan, Himutu Umaruchan. This is volume 12, and honestly I love this series. This is the end of the original Umaru series, so I don't really get too much into it. She's a dorky little weeb who, she's a beautiful girl, very talented, very serious, and gets fantastic grades outside of her house, and when she moves back into her own place, well, she's a filthy weeb. She drinks cola, she just gets sugar rushes, she stays up all night watching anime and playing video games and eating donuts, you know, the absolute slob. But it's a fun, charming series. It's one that I first started collecting manga when I first started collecting again. This was one of the ones I picked up. Honestly, I love this series. It's one I recommend checking out if you just want a nice, easy to read gag manga. The next series we're going to talk about is Cube Art. Now, this is probably the series that I wouldn't say I dislike, but it's one of the more out there series. If I looked at the series, I would say it's not particularly amazing, but it's not overly bad. This is Cube Art. A bunch of people get stuck in essentially a Minecraft world, and when they die in real life. Tell me if you haven't heard that story before. But, you know, I enjoyed this one. It's a fun little story. There's nothing too special about it. But if you like Minecraft and you want a fun isekai type game, manga, then you're probably going to have a good time with Cube Arts. It's time we went to the Barbers. That's right, with Monster Musume, volume 16. Now, I've often complained about Monster Musume over the last few months, and you know what, it's a series that I absolutely adore, but I do agree it's starting to get a few issues. This one, I'm kind of mixed on it. It's kind of setting up a whole hot springs thing, an interspecies mixer to have males and monster girls get together and fall in love, but it's kind of just an excuse for the artist just to, you know, do softcore hentai. I always wonder if there's a real limit to the amount of boobars that the creator needs to put into a chapter. Well, I'm kind of up in the air. I'd be interested to know, but it's kind of okay. There's nothing too fantastic about this. It's one of those series that I absolutely love, but I can admit it's not been too great for the last few volumes. The next volume is My Dress Up Darling Volume 3. Now, I'm not going to lie, this actually dropped through the letterbox mere seconds before I went to start shooting this video, so I haven't even opened the sale on this one. I'm really looking forward to picking it up. If you know Based Senpai, he always gives a huge recommendation, a huge shout out to this one, and I probably wouldn't have picked this one up without his recommendation, so thanks Based Senpai for that one. And this is an interesting one. This is a bit of a spicy title about cosplay and making cosplay, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I did do a full video on it previously, so go check that out, but it's one that you do want to be checking out. It's fantastic if you like slice of life comedy with a little bit of spice, and if you're into the whole cosplay scene. The next thing is one of the best things running on the Shonen Jump app at the moment. Not quite in Shonen Jump itself, but we're talking about Spy Family or Spy X Family or Spy Family X or whatever you want to call it. I call it Spy Family because the X is silent. This is a fantastic title about a spy who needs to have a fake family in order to do a certain mission. He manages to adopt a very small impressionable child who is a psychic. She obviously knows what he is thinking, and he needs a pretend wife. The pretend wife is an assassin, and honestly the hijinks between these three characters is a lot of fun. Not only that, but we also have a nice interesting political spy thriller on top of that. There's a lot of interesting things going in Spy Family, and honestly it is one of those series that there's been a lot of great hype for it, and that's worth it. It is worth the hype. Go check this one out, you will not regret it. The next one is another Barbers title, and well, actually it was maybe more of a thick fries make thighs. That was right. This is Plus Size Elf Volume 6, and this is a title that honestly I can't get enough of. The artwork is absolutely fantastic and the characters are a huge amount of fun. It's also got a lot of fun workout tips, things that you can do at the office or you can just do at home or even at the gym. It manages to give us that little bit of slice of life with also being able to teach us something. Now there is also another title called How Heavy Are the Dumbbells That You Lift. I also quite enjoyed that one. Look forward to a full review on that series in the near future. But for now, Plus Size Elf, if you like your monster girls, if you want to have a gym series, if you like your bars, you're definitely going to have a lot of fun with this title. The next series is one that I started buying last time I did a haul, and it's one that I absolutely adored to the point that I started doing a mini review for it a few weeks ago, started scripting it out, and I still haven't finished it because there was that many things I wanted to talk about. And I have picked up Volume 5, Volume 6, Volume 7, Volume 8, Volume 9 and Volume 10 of New Game. The title that is about cute girls making video games, and there's a lot of things that we could talk about with this one. I will leave a lot of it for a separate video just because, yeah, we've got a lot of manga to get through, but honestly I have absolutely adored reading through this series. I haven't read Volume 9 and Volume 10 yet. The reason being is that I got to Volume 8, bought Volume 9, Volume 9 went out of stock, and I've literally just gotten it about 2 or 3 days ago. Volume 10 has been sitting waiting, but if you like your cute girls doing things, if you like your fun slice of life titles, it's also a seinen title, so you get your adults doing adult things, you're gonna have a lot of great things in this. There's a lot of interesting commentary on the video game creation and a lot of great commentary on office life as well. That's also skirted over being, yeah, it's rather interesting the way it's done. Like I said, there's a lot to talk about. I really am looking forward to sharing a little bit more with this title in the near future. Next up is a sequel to a series that I don't really hear many people talking about, but once I mentioned it on my Twitter, a lot of people were really happy that I was picking it up, and that is My Solo Exchange Diary, the sequel to My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness. Now this is, it's a title that I don't think gets picked up because I think that the colours, and I think it doesn't look like something that a lot of people will be interested in, but check it out guys. If you have any anxieties, if you suffer with depression, a lot of the stuff in this and My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness may put things into a little bit more perspective. You just want to give the author a huge hug. You really want them to get through all of this, and it's rather interesting the struggles and everything that they do just to kind of be accepted in this world. Definitely worth checking out. Go do it if you have the chance. This title is a title that I have picked up a lot of, and we're on Volume 17 already of No Matter How I Look at It, It's You Guys' Fault I'm Not Popular, and I love this series. Again, much like Umaru, this was one of the ones that got me into collecting manga after a long hiatus, and honestly I was expecting this to be a 10 volume thing and done, but it just keeps going, and honestly it is fantastic. Another seinen title, much like New Game. This tells the story of a young girl who well, she's not very popular. She thought going into high school she'd be super popular and amazing, but no matter what she does, no matter how she thinks about it, she can't understand why she isn't a huge popular person. Things have changed over the course of 17 volumes, which is lovely. We are getting a huge amount of advancement, a lot of character building, and it's just one of those series that you can just read, you can have a nice fun time and have a nice heartwarming smile. Another series that I started buying a few months ago was The Elder Sister Like One. Now, I picked up Volume 1 and read Volume 1 a few years ago, and I decided, you know what, I wanted to pick this up and support Poichi Mama, especially after watching her on, I think she did a collab with Ina, and I think Rain and a few of the other Hololive Indonesia characters, and you know what, I was reminded of this series. I was just like, you know what, I'm going to pick up the whole thing. These two just dropped a few days ago. I hadn't had a chance to read it, but I am looking forward to binging this series, and I might do another video on it because it's one that I think I had to remove because of the thumbnail. The thumbnail was one where people just like, YouTube was like, you're not putting that on, and I was like, you know what, we're going to try it again, we'll see how things go, and I might do another review. I'm looking forward to binging this one because it is a great, fantastic series. The next one is Interspecies Reviewers Darkness. Yeah, this was an interesting one. This is actually it's like an anthology series rather than just being a normal series. So this is numbered as 4.5 by Yen Press rather than being number 5. There's a lot of interesting things in here. As you can expect, it's guys going around to have sex with monster girls. But I'm not going to lie, there was a few chapters in here that I felt really uncomfortable with. I just completely skipped. And there was a few chapters that I thought were absolutely fantastic. We have people from, we have the Monster Musume artist, we have the Dragon Maid artist, we have a few of the other movers and shakers in the Monster Girl fandom doing very short stories. Very hit and miss. Personally, I didn't, like I said, I wouldn't recommend this one nearly to everyone. It's very much more hentai, very short stories, hentai stories, and like I said, there was a few things in here that I just took one look at and I was like, I'm not even reading this chapter. A little bit of a disappointment for me, but it's a 4.5. I don't really have to keep this one in my collection to see I've got Interspecies reviewers, I suppose. Next up is the absolutely fantastic, the superb Quintessential Quintuplets. This is volume 12 now. We are coming to endgame now. I actually have not read volume 12 despite picking it up about a month or two ago. The reason being is that I started reading it and I was about a chapter in and I was like, oh, actually this is coming to end game stuff, so I'm thinking what I might just do is just wait until volume 13 and volume 14 drop. 13 I think might already be out, so I'm just thinking, oh, I might just binge all of them and finish it off rather than just kind of stop start, especially when we are essentially in what looks to be the final arc. Next up we have another series that I really adored volume 1 of, and it's one that as loads of people recommended to me, loads of people hyped this series up, and I sat on it for a long time. Now, I haven't read these volumes. I'm being quite naughty. I haven't read these volumes. I've read volume 1, but I haven't read volume 4, volume 5, and volume 6 of Girls' Last Tour. The reason being is that this is another one, much like New Game, where I started buying them, and then all of a sudden, they all went out of stock. So I managed to get volume 4, it was a little bit more than I wanted to pay. I think it was about £13. But I managed to get 5 and 6 rather easily. Volume 3 was the one I struggled with, and I've had to buy from another party. I bought from them about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It still hasn't turned up, but I look forward to reading this. I heard it's absolutely heartbreaking at the end. I look forward to just binging the entire thing and just doing a full, huge video on this fantastic series. The next title is one that I cover every other haul, and it's one that I've absolutely loved. I don't think I've covered for quite some time because it feels like it's been ages since volume 8, and that is Delicious in Dungeon. This is a series about people going down to a labyrinth and essentially just eating the monsters. Not like Interspecies reviewers. It's like a cuisine series, Hacha the manga. maybe we should call it. But honestly, I love this one. It's another one I'm going to do a full, huge video on very shortly. I'm going to have some more time, but I want to cover this more in depth. But it's one I don't see many people picking up for some reason. But it's one that everybody who picks up sees it's a fantastic series, and even Japan, it sells stupidly well despite not having an anime. And I'd recommend go checking this one out. I believe it's going to end, from what people are saying, Volume 10 is starting to wrap the series up. Even Volume 9, you can see there's not a huge amount left of the series. So I think it's going to be one of those series where it's going to end up Volume 11, Volume 12. But honestly, the wait between Volume 9 and Volume 10 is going to be painful. It's like, we're going to not see this for another few months. But I'm looking forward to it. The word masterpiece is thrown around quite a lot, and I kind of feel like the words GOAT or peak fiction don't really mean anything anymore. However, this series is actually called The Masterpiece. This is Aria The Masterpiece, and I've picked up Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. Now, I actually wanted to pick up all of it. I wanted to pick up Volume 5 and Volume 6, but yet again, the things went out of stock as soon as I started buying it. And with it being Tokyo Pop, I have no idea if it's ever going to go back in stock. I heard there was a few issues with Volume 7 with the print run, so they are reprinting them. But I'm not 100% sure if that's true. I certainly hope so, because I don't want to be paying stupid amounts for a volume that only released last year. That's right, Volume 5 and 6 came out last year, but now they're hard to find. There's some problem there. But this is a fantastic series. It's super relaxing. There's a reason why it's called a masterpiece. If you like your titles such as Yotsuba and non-binary or anything that's got that whole relaxation, like laid back camp, you're gonna love Aria The Masterpiece. It is a title that I picked up on a whim, and honestly, I love it. And this is probably gonna be my only Tokyo Pop title. Maybe I'm going to try and pick up some older stuff. I think Excel Saga I want to get, but yeah, I don't have many Tokyo Pop titles, so yeah, I can safely say I own Tokyo Pop titles. That isn't Love Hina or Suikoden or Dot Hack. Brilliant! Next up, we have a title that I've discussed quite a bit, so I'm not going to get too much into, and that is Uzakichan Wants to Hang Out Volume 4. Much like all of the others, it's in 3D, slightly. And this is another one where I kind of feel that, yeah, it's got a huge problematic aura around it. I feel like it's one of those ones that it was picked up and it was hated by one set of people, then it was loved by another set of people, and I was just kind of like, it's just a fun title. It's one of those ones where I just like the charm of it. I like it because it's quite a cute, weeby, nerdy romance gag series. There's a lot of fun with it. I've heard that the creator has been a bit problematic on top of that. So, but at the end of the day, I picked this up before then, and I enjoyed it for what it was. A fun little title. Next up is another series that I started buying a few months ago, and then I just stopped buying for whatever reason. And then I was just like, oh, I need to start picking up some titles for when I'm made redundant. I need to have some to keep us going. And I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot all about High Score Girl. This is a fun title. It doesn't get enough love. I feel like all of the Square Enix titles are just going off the radar for people. I don't know if it's because Square Enix is relatively new in terms of publishing manga, or if it's just the titles that most people aren't going to be bothering with. The other one was My Dress Up Darling, and I think Soul Eater. I think Soul Eater has been republished by Yen Press, and I don't see many people picking any of them titles up. But High Score Girl, if you like your arcade machines, this is the series for you. A young boy who's obsessed with being the best fighter, arcade player of Street Fighter or King of Fighters, befriends a lonely rich girl who is also super good at playing arcade fighters, and they have this unlikely romance. And I believe the series is finished, the manga's finished, but I'm just enjoying it as I'm reading it, to be honest. The next series, well, it's 2 series in one, and again, much like High Score Girl, it's one that I started collecting and I loved, but I just kind of dropped for whatever reason, and I kind of thought, you know what, I'm going to try and catch up, I'm going to try and fill in all of the gaps that I've got of various certain series, and those are Cells at Work, Code Black. I picked up Volume 5 and Volume 6. Also, Cells at Work Volume 4, because this was super cheap on Amazon. And yeah, I love Cells at Work. It's one of those series that a lot of people seem to kind of write off. They're just like, oh, why is Cells at Work so popular? Then you see like the sales it does and how popular the anime was. And yeah, it's one of those titles that is doing well for itself. Personally, I enjoy Code Black more than Cells at Work, but they're both a lot of fun. They're about cells in your body. That's right, it's like Osmosis Jones. I've heard that one many times before. Another series, much like Cells at Work, where I've bought, and I actually bought Volume 1 way back. I think it was like the end of December. I was just like, oh, I want something else to collect. And then Girls Last Tour and Aria and a lot of others happened. And I was just like, oh, what do I was like, you know what, I fancy rereading Tokyo Taraba Girls once again. I read all of this digitally and I was just like, you know what, I fancy picking this up physically. So I picked up Volume 1 and I recently picked up Volume 9 to give me that commitment of at least buying the rest. This is a fantastic title. It's another one I don't hear many people talking about. It's adults being adults. It's a josei, which I think that means adult manga for targeted towards girls. I'll have to do a video on it, but I love this series. I just love the whole idea of it. I don't know why, I absolutely love series about office girls doing work. I got this, I got Waterkoi, I got that Dragon Maid spin-off, I got New Game. There's a few out there, so I think maybe I need to do a video on this weird thing that I seem to have a love for. But this is a fantastic series. If you want a good adult romance, you want to be picking up Tokyo Taraba Girls. And now we come to the light novel segment of the video. First up, we have Ascendance of a Bookworm. I'll do anything to become a librarian. Keep your mind out of the gutter. Part 2, Apprentice Shrine Maiden, Volume 1. Now, I read a lot of Ascendance of a Bookworm. I don't know where I got it, but I was somewhere in Part 2. And then lockdown happened and I got to work from home, so I had access to all of my physical library. The series was what I was reading about week on week whenever I had 5 minutes lunch. I would just sit and I was just like, oh yeah, a chapter of this can take about, 20 minutes or so to read. I've got some time, I'll read it. But I've lost where I was, so I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to pick this up physically. I did pick up Volume 2 of Part 1. It was Part 1, Volume 1 I ordered, but Part 2 came. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to pick up the rest of these and just binge it. I'm actually pretty up to date on my light novels, surprisingly. So yeah, this is another one I'm looking forward to rereading. I might do another video on it because it's one I feel like I love, but I don't talk about enough. So yeah, it's a fantastic series. Well worth checking out if you want a new light novel series. Now, there's also been a series that I have never experienced. When I first started watching anime and manga, I took a break. I took a break around 2007 and picked it up again about 2013. So there was a few series that I just completely missed. They just never were on my radar, and I've been trying to catch up with them. One of them was Lucky Star. Another one was Keon. And the third one was Haruhi, the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. And yeah, I can't pronounce that. I can't pronounce things. Hacha Machama. But yeah, this is a series that I heard so many good things about. It was a huge pioneering series for the cute girls doing cute things, and I'd never read it. So once Yen Press announced that they were going to republish it along with the new one, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to get it. I could only get Volume 1. I can't get Volume 2 no matter what. So yeah, we're on Volume 4 because they're releasing 2 a month. So I'm just like, yeah, panic mode. I don't want to be too far behind. But yeah, this was a fantastic, honestly, I love this from start to finish. It was one where I was just like, oh, maybe it hasn't aged well, but yeah, I loved it. I really enjoyed this one, so look forward to a full-on review of this in the near future. Next up is bottom tier character Thomaszakikun. I don't know why I call it Thomaszakikun, but I'm thinking of Teasen Master Tanagaki. I don't know what I'm thinking of. This is another fantastic one. I've went over this one many times before. It's about a loser who's going to become awesome. Yeah, great title. Go check out the anime. The anime is airing at the moment and it's a lot of fun. Next up is one of the big light novels I feel like I read, and that is the Saga of Tanya the Evil. I love this series so much. It's one that, I don't know why, originally I had so many, it took me ages to read one volume. I got through this in like a day or something like that, a day, maybe 2 days, and I was just like, I just couldn't put it down. I was absolutely loving this one. Honestly, this is such a great series about a young man, a horrible boss gets killed and he gets reincarnated as a young girl on the wrong side of the war. And yeah, essentially he just is trying to survive, and in that way of surviving he does horrible, or she does horrible things, becoming known as Tanya the Evil. But it's all in the name of survival. So yeah, it's, if you like a World War II kind of, if you want a historical drama series, you're going to enjoy Tanya the Evil. It's a really fantastic title. Next up is another series that, again, I talk about a lot of, and another one I want to do a huge massive video on. Maybe I will in the near future. I keep promising people that I'll do it, and that is Monster Girl Doctor. Now, on the back of Volume 6, there was a huge game-changing thing, and this is essentially picking up the pieces from that. I'm not going to get too much into it because it's massive huge spoilers for people who haven't read it. If you like your Monster Girls, if you want your great world building, go check this one out. Also, I realised on the back of this and the Interspecies reviews and the Nurse Tomi manga that there is a huge fetish for giant eyes. Ah, Leela, you must have stirred something in somebody somewhere. Next up is another series that, again, a lot of people love. I absolutely adore it, and another one I want to. I keep saying it for everything I've been reading. This is why I don't do manga videos, like separate ones, because there's that many series I just want to give a huge, massive video to, and I just don't have the time to make it all. But I've been reading That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Volume 10. Again, fantastic. If you're enjoying the slime series, you will absolutely love this one. Less relaxed as compared to Volume 8 and Volume 9. This is like the next big arc, and yeah, it's quite dark. Slime was one of those ones where I felt it was all very happy and stuff like that, but then it got quite dark. I feel like there is still a big problem with the main character being far too overpowered, but I like how the rest of the world is starting to get built up around just to make him look that much more powerful when he does do a fight, and that I feel is important in a good overpowered isekai. I don't like these ones where it's just kind of like they get put in, they're overpowered and they're overpowered for the entire thing, and that's about it. But yeah, this one's great. I love the world building aspect, I love the city building aspect of it. I just love everything about this series. The next one we've got is 86 Volume 4. Now, I binged Volume 2 and Volume 3, which was essentially one big story arc. But I was kind of like, this isn't quite as good as it was as Volume 1. Volume 1 was exceptional. And then I was just like, you know what, I'll pick up Volume 4. People have been saying online that Volume 4 is where things start getting better again. And I loved it. This is a fantastic series. I'm really looking forward to people there reading the checking out the anime when the anime hits in a few weeks time, because this one is going to be mega huge once it does hit. I have noticed on my anime list, I was looking through things and I noticed 86 was like just outside the top 10. I think it was like 25, so the word around this one is going around, and I am seeing a few people like Zach from YouTube Shelf, I think Flip Otaku, people who don't necessarily focus on reading light novels, they've been picking this title up. So it is one that if you aren't necessarily into light novels but you want a good, much like Tanya the Evil, a war story, a sci-fi story, very similar to Attack on Titan, you're going to enjoy this one, and I'm looking forward to seeing how people react to the anime and this series becoming huge in the next few weeks. Another series that I covered at the beginning of the year, I'm not going to get too much into it, is Unnamed Memory, The Witch of the Azure Moon and The Cursed Prince. I can't pronounce things today. This is volume 1. This is your traditional fantasy romance. This, I've really enjoyed it. It's one of those ones, you either love it or you just hate it. A lot of people said they couldn't get past chapter 100. I loved it. I absolutely adored this one. I'm looking forward to picking up more. I might get the rest digitally. It's only 7 volumes though, so if I can clear out space, I might get more of it. Yeah, because I said at the beginning of the year I wasn't going to buy much more manga and light novels, and then there's what, 50 here in this pile. Yeah, great. Next up we have another series that I didn't realise pretty much ended on volume 3, and that is Wandering Witch Volume 4, The Journey of Elena. Now again, this is another one I have spoken about at length. I love this series so much. It's one that, you know, it's just a lot of fun, it's relaxed, it's chill. This series mixes things up a little bit. Like I said, originally the series was supposed to end on I believe volume 3. In the end of this, he's just like, oh yeah, volume 3 was supposed to be the end, and then it got popular, and then he was just like, I'll come back and do more. But this is more about, I feel like this is more about different people who Elena meets, rather than just being about the different countries. The country aspect is still there, but it's not quite as focused on as it used to be, which, to be honest, is perfectly fine. Next up is a title that I'm not going to lie, I have not read. And the reason I've not read it is because it's 3 volumes in one. I picked this up, The Crest of the Stars, because it was super cheap. This was £7 on eBay, that's right. Or might have been £8. It was so cheap, I was just like, you know what, hardcover, I'll buy it. I've got every intention to read it, I just haven't had the chance. I only got it a few weeks ago, but I'm pretty much caught up on my light novels, so both this and Full Metal Panic I plan on reading in the next few weeks, just so I can catch up and see it. I've read them, along with all of Monogatari. But yeah, it looks nice on a shelf, and that is what collecting is about. Next up we have another title. Again, I only covered this one on the channel, I think it was like a week or 2 ago, and that is The King of the Labyrinth. And this is another one, hardcover by Yen Press. Don't think it deserves that, but it's about a Minotaur who is born into a labyrinth. He's normally the 10th floor boss. However, he managed to escape his prison and goes on a murdering spree. That's right, it's another overpowered villain protagonist. Again, go check out my video that I already covered on this one. There's a lot of things to say about this, and yeah, it starts off really well, but I feel it kind of like goes down a little bit as it goes on, but it's nothing too bad. Now, before we go on to the last title, I want to know from you guys, what have you been picking up in the last few months? Is there any titles that you have absolutely adored? And anything that you kind of feel that you've seen in my collection or my haul video that you just want to pick up? Let me know in the comments. Finally, we have the Eminence in Shadow. And I didn't really like this one. Now, this is another one where I got a lot of hype. It was a hardcover from Yen Press, and I was just like, you know what? The plot sounds so stupid. It's about a young guy, always dreamed of being the puppeteer behind everything, and he gets his wish. He gets born into another world, and he manages to recruit a super group of waifus to do his bidding. And then it skips over all of that and goes into a whole school thing, and I was just like, I don't care. I don't care about wish fulfillment fantasies where they go to school and they're super popular by every single girl, and they're also super overpowered by pretending to be weak. I've read so many of them now, and they're kind of all blurring into one. People try to cut. I was kind of on the fence of whether or not I should pick up Volume 2, because I heard Volume 2 actually focuses on these characters that we see in the front, all of the super powerful waifus. And because it turns out all of the stuff that he's lied about, like this evil shadow organisation that they need to stop, that's all real. And it's one of those ones where, I don't know, I just kind of felt that it was too not focused. I mean, I would like the aspect of the puppeteer and everything, him lying, just be like, oh yeah, we're going to try and fight all of these evil monsters, and then that being genuinely real and all of this stuff that he's saying is going to happen is happening. I love that aspect. The whole school thing just bogged it down, and I was just like, I don't care about overpowered wish fulfillment school fantasies. It means nothing to me. I'm an adult. Honestly, I was really disappointed in this one. I might check out volume 2. I mean, like I said, there was so many good ideas that I liked the idea behind it, but yeah, I just didn't really like the execution in this one, unfortunately. Phew, so that's probably the best part of an hour of our time gone. If you managed to get to the end, thank you very much for doing so. It really means a lot. And if you do like this, remember to like, remember to subscribe, and check out some of the other videos around here. I've got plenty more coming. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you've picked up, and I will see you over here. Goodbye.